Welcome to the Korea Pro Podcast, your weekly guide to understanding the most pressing and complicated developments shaping South Korea. We're your hosts, Jeongmin Kim,
John Lei,
and Joon Ha Park of Korea Pro.
Go beyond headlines as we explain not just what happened, but also what really matters and why it matters.
If you monitor South Korea for work or just trying to keep up, you're in the right place.
This is the Korea Pro Podcast. Hello, listeners. Welcome back to the Korea Pro Podcast. We are recording May 15th, Thursday, a little bit before noon. And let's start with whatever happened during the weekend.
Yeah, so the weekend, it was quite a crazy turn of events for the PPP in actually finalizing their presidential candidate. Do you mind just walking us through what actually happened during that Trailblazer weekend?
The whole drama over the weekend. Oh, gosh. When I woke up on Saturday and woke up on Sunday, like things were changing just very, very rapidly. The official registration deadline for the presidential candidates in South Korea was Sunday. And then until like Friday, Kim Moon-soo, the former labor minister, and Han Duck-soo, the former prime minister and former acting president, they couldn't really decide on like the negotiation point. So it sort of looked like either both of them were going to run, or Han Duck-soo will just fail to do the unity ticket and just resign from the potential candidacy. And then come Saturday, I believe it was like 3 to 4 a.m. in like early morning. Going from Saturday to Sunday, it was like early morning Sunday. We woke up on Sunday morning and we saw that overnight the PPP sort of did an official announcement that they are retracting their candidacy for Kim Moon-soo, citing their party rule of something that they have the power to actually do that, the party leadership. So Kim Moon-soo woke up to the news that he was not a candidate anymore. And during that 1 hour window from 3 a.m. to 4 a.m., they opened registration for candidacy, to which, of course, only Han Duck-soo sort of registered. So when we woke up, Han Duck-soo was a new candidate. And he did like a whole press briefing, like, I will do my best, blah, blah. But Kim Moon-soo was very ready to take this to court, basically, and saying that this is another coup. It was an interesting wording coming from PPP, right?
Indeed.
Yeah, and this comes after like the whole PPP People Power Party leadership doing a hunger strike, and Kim Moon-soo making a sassy remark against PPP leadership saying, oh, why were you not doing a hunger strike when people were outside protesting against martial law or for martial law? And the whole thing happened. And then a couple of hours later, very awkward situation, because remember that public opinion poll that, party member public opinion poll that the People Power Party was doing in order to figure out who the fan favorite is, Kim Moon-soo or Han Duck-soo. And actually the results showed it wasn't Han.
They overturned it.
Yeah, so they overturned it, and Han Duck-soo was like, okay, I resign. And I will do my best to support you, Kim. And then Kim Moon-soo was back as candidate again. So that's how we started the week. And come Monday, it was the official campaign period starting. So Kim Moon-soo was very ready, actually, to just kick off whatever he has planned on. And traditionally and logistically speaking, when the official registration starts, official campaign period starts, there are a couple of things that the official candidates do. First thing is they would release and submit the 10-point policy vision, the pledges, the platform to the National Election Committee, which they did. And it looks like there are officially 7 candidates,
yes,
including Hwang Kyo-won, Park Geun-hye's former acting prime minister.
And Yoon's lawyer.
Acting president, and also Yoon's lawyer, and also a bunch of other people, including among the minor party candidates most higher up in support is Lee Jun-seok from 개혁신당, the new reform party. And so it's mainly 3 candidates. The reason why I say 3 candidates is because for centrists and conservatives, the votes are being distracted a little bit away from the PPP. Lee Jun-seok actually, as a minor party candidate, has quite a big support range. It's still single digit, but it's not significant. So they did release the policy pledges, and they started the whole official tours and the slogans and the banners and the music and the lyrics and the dancing and everything.
Indeed, and that started just this Monday. And Lee Jae-myung and Kim Moon-soo, they let out their 10-point visions, their key pledges on the NEC website, the National Election Commission website, and also their own websites too, their own campaign pages. Some of the pinpoints to talk about for Lee Jae-myung first, his 10-point vision. So it's mainly a post-crisis recovery of martial law, Yoon's martial law, Yoon's impeachment, the whole political chaos that came from that, the creation of regional AI innovation clusters, which involves state-sponsored hubs for AI development across some provinces to drive innovation and balance these regional growth. It's boosting exports of Korean cultural content, K-content, as Lee Jae-myung has flagged, and a phased transition away from coal energy and some major institutional reforms limiting presidential emergency powers, prosecution overhaul, and judicial independence from the political sphere.
Overall, sort of sounds like a mixture of Moon Jae-in era stuff and Yoon Suk-yeol era stuff into a set of policy pledges. And of course, there is this foreign policy related category as well, mentioning a sustainable Korean Peninsula peace, responding to geopolitical changes pragmatically as a keyword, but it does not look as similar as when it comes to like pro-engagement, when it comes to North Korea. He's neither here or there. It's not like Moon era language, neither like Yoon era language. Yeah, very wishy-washy and sort of in the middle. And can you walk us through Kim Moon-soo's pledges as well?
Yeah, so some of his key pledges, as outlined in his pledges on the NAC website, it says that he's quite pro-business. So pro-business economic deregulation and sweeping tax cuts, expanding housing benefits for young families, the abolition of reform-era watchdogs like the Corruption Investigation Office that spearheaded Yoon's arrest last January, stronger national defense, nuclear protection clauses where...
In the Mutual Defense Treaty between U.S. and South Korea. Well, good luck with that.
Since 1953. And he also looked for nuclear sharing with NATO, also...
nuclear weapons in Guam.
Tactical nuclear weapons relocation in Guam, U.S. alliance upgrades, all that jazz, and labor market liberalization and reduced government control through constitutional reform.
So overall, it's like 99% copy-paste from the Yoon era policies.
Indeed, yeah.
Aside from maybe just having GTX, the Gyeonggi as a core place to public transportation overhaul sort of thing as a more emphasis, it seems.
All right, now we've talked about Lee Jae-myung and Kim Moon-soo. What about the third minor candidate, Lee Jun-seok?
Lee Jun-seok is actually quite similar when it comes to institutional reform with Lee Jae-myung, like less power for the president, more pragmatic, sort of efficiently working government. He is saying that the 19 ministries so far should be merged and eliminated into just 13. This is probably his way of saying, you know, the gender ministry thing and like other stuff, like he is sort of doing that again.
Also called for the abolishment of the unification ministry
as
well.
Yeah, he wants it to become like foreign affairs and unification ministry in line with what the National Assembly Committee is like. And other stuff is very similar, pension related issues. He actually has more like pro young generation sort of idea about the pension reform. Labor and other rights, he is also very pro-business, but he also wants the local governments to be able to choose, like the U.S., to a certain level, to choose the minimum wage. He also says that the factories in China and Vietnam should come back to South Korea and sort of like a reshoring sort of idea, which has been, which Yoon also talked about before as well. And, you know, deregulation and everything. Largely, a lot of his pledges are actually it has a lot of emphasis on helping out the younger generation, like under 50 years old. So it's in line with his brand. So we can see that they are aiming at different target groups. But when you are reading these 10-point pledges, which always come with almost the same format that is required by the NEC, the methodology in reading what their actual emphasis is first of all the order. The order of the pledges are important. The important things become number one. The main thing usually becomes number one. It's not like there are like set orders for, you know, foreign policy comes first and then security. It's not like that. So if they want to de-emphasize something, they usually merge something together,
Right.
right? Something very prominent, if you look at it that way, from Lee Jae-myung is that his number one is econ and AI.
Sure.
Kim Moon-soo number one is deregulation and pro-business. For Lee Jun-seok, number one is the institutional reform, less power for the president. You can see how they are prioritizing different
Sure.
things, right? And foreign policy, this is interesting because for Lee Jae-myung, it's number four. And that includes everything like defense. But for Kim Moon-soo, it's number 10 actually, so it's low in priority. But the language itself is much, much stronger, defense-oriented. Lee Jae-myung's is like very foreign relations-oriented. Kim Moon-soo's one, it says a power that overwhelms the North Korean nuclear weapons and strong national security. This sort of includes everything related to foreign relations. So you can see different emphasis there.
Sure.
And for Lee Jun-seok, he actually does not have foreign relations or defense standalone. It is sort of included into other issues that are linked with economic security. So you can see from these priorities and how they frame certain category names, like what their actual emphasis is. And for Lee, it seems like he has the standalone compared to others that do not exist, which is Sejong as a new
Presidential complex building.
right. So and so he is focusing a lot on more balanced distribution of power and investment across the country. And after this, there were a few political developments in both parties as well. Can you just mention a few most important things that happened?
Sure. So the recent PPP dropout, Kim Sang-uk, who was very vocal in being critical of the Yoon administration for their imposition of martial law and the whole impeachment period, and Kim Sang-uk, he left the PPP a couple of weeks ago, and just today he's expressed support for Lee Jae-myung as a presidential candidate. Whether he will join the DP, that's still something that's left to be said.
It's interesting though, like, and he will probably join the party, but like his general philosophy and conservative sort of policies is actually more in line with Lee Jun-seok's. But he is saying that he thinks that Lee Jae-myung is the only very pragmatic and effective potential leader for the country. So that's an interesting move.
Yeah, and just looking into Kim Moon-soo's camp, a lot of former Yoon folks have come back into the party with Jang Ye-chan and Choi Kyung-hwan, former Yoon advisors who have come back into the PPP circles. Also, the PPP faced quite a lot of controversy for the past couple of days after talks of putting Chung Ho-yong, former martial law advisor to President Chun Doo-han in the 1980s, was included in the registrar for Kim Moon-soo's camp.
And they retracted him,
They
right?
retracted him immediately, yes.
Right. So when we read whatever happens in the ruling party right now, if we look at the polls, which I wouldn't go into in detail, PPP strategy seems like it's not really just to win the election. Like the thing about like South Korean presidential election is when there is not really big chance to win in a landslide, a lot of party strategy actually goes above just the election period. But what happens after? So if you like reading what the PPP does right now, we have to look into who will actually take control of the party after the election. So when we look at potential nominees as Kim's advisor, these are the people we have to keep an eye on for after the elections as well to be in the party, important party positions.
Indeed. Right, so moving on, there was some news about Trump and Xi Jinping over the weekend, especially concerning tariffs. Could you walk us through a bit of that?
Right, there is some Korea-related implications from that, like not just Korea, but other Asian allies or other partnering countries that have been looking at this development very, very closely. On Tuesday, local time, Washington and Beijing, they reached a temporary agreement to ease tariffs for a 90-day window. And under this new deal, the U.S. tariffs on the Chinese goods will be reduced from what was initially announced as 145% to 30% starting Wednesday, while China will cut tariffs on U.S. exports from 125% to 10%. When I first read this this alert, I was like, did I read this correctly? Are they saying that they are cutting down 30% points and 10% point? No, it was 145 to just 30 and 125 to 10.
Quite the shift.
It's quite the shift. So people were like, experts are looking at this, like questioning like their initial analyses, like were they just bluffing at each other? Like what actually worked here? So from South Korea's perspective, they are still looking at potentially what they want as a July package. But July package, it comes after the presidential election. So the new administration will have to handle that. And right now there is no finance minister. So the acting finance minister, Kim Moon-soo, is heading up the economy-related meetings and the game plans for these. And what he said after this China-U.S. development is that despite the tariff agreement between the U.S. and China, the global trade conditions are still looking at considerable uncertainty. Yeah, of course, because this tariff agreement itself was quite unpredictable. So all South Korea can really do right now is first look at how things go between U.S. and China in the next coming weeks, and also look at what Japan does potentially following this game plan or not. Like, will the defense issue be talked about as a standalone, like Trump said before, when it comes to South Korea? It's just a whole lot of waiting and seeing.
Indeed.
Looking to stay informed about South Korea's fast-evolving political, business and cultural landscape? Join us on Korea Pro, the go-to resource for in-depth analysis expertly curated by top-tier professionals. And now you can pick the membership level that best suits your needs, thanks to our new subscription packages. Starting at just $199 annually, you can access daily analysis and our weekly podcast. Or try our premium membership package, which offers additional perks such as executive briefings, monthly reports and forecasts, networking receptions and event opportunities, as well as much, much more. To find the best fit for you, just head to signup.koreapro.org and become a member today.
Week ahead, the TV debates, the presidential debates are as important as actual policy pledges, so you have to keep an eye on it closely if you are monitoring South Korean politics. The first presidential debate will be on Sunday at 8 p.m. It will be by SBS. So usually what happens is the three main broadcasters, they take turns in hosting them, and they will choose the moderator for each. And the first one will be, of course, about the economy, because that has been an overarching main theme of all three candidates. The second debate will be next Friday, May 23rd. This will be by KBS and same time, 8 p.m. And the third one will be the following week, Tuesday, May 27th. And this will be about politics. And this will require an entire day to talk about. But it looks like they're still aiming at 2 hours. And they have not announced the date for the fourth debate yet.
Yeah, and just to add, the voting for the South Korean nationals within foreign countries will be starting on the 20th. That will be next Tuesday, and it will go on until the 25th.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in.
If you want to know more, sign up for our daily executive briefings. We'll brief you on all you need to know from the past 24 hours and why it matters, delivered to your inbox every morning.
If you want to stay ahead of the curve, sign up for Korea Pro to get a full package of insights, from daily expert analysis to profiles, month in review, week ahead, and more.
And until next time, I'm Jeongmin Kim.
I'm Joon Ha Park.
And I'm John Lee, and we'll see you next time on the Korea Pro Podcast.